you like family.
Discover the difference at B&B Ford.
We did a lot of research. We went to a lot of other dealerships. We did a lot of online looking, and we just always come back to Camperland.
What mattered to me was having the people here to help me if I had a problem. That's what mattered most to me. I'll pay more to get that, and any smart person would.
It just felt like the right thing to do was to purchase here.
MyMostImportantKitchenTool.com.
You're watching News 12 on your side.
From the station that's on your side, this is News 12, First at 5.
You don't think you're going to get a call like this. You're frightened. You don't know if your child's okay, shot, dead, anything.
Well, panic and fear at Josie High in Augusta after shots are fired inside the school.
The sheriff's office says the victim, who is a student, is recovering in the hospital. They say he was shot in the hand, specifically the finger, and has non-life-threatening injuries.
Sheriff Rountree says the suspect is also a student and is now on the run. He says that the shooting started this morning. They got the call for shots fired at around 11:15. Rountree saying the shooting stemmed from an argument.
The sheriff, along with Richmond County School Superintendent, spoke to the public in just the last couple of hours with an update on this investigation. Our Craig Allison live for us now at the Board of Education. And Craig, what was the message there this afternoon?
The biggest thing that leaders pressed to parents is that aside from locating the shooter, everything was coordinated to a T. Sheriff Rountree really emphasized and commended an active shooter training 2 months ago at another high school that helps them prevent any fatalities in today's situation. Now, everyone from Central EMS to tactical units had Josie High and Murphy Middle Schools on lockdown and swept through classrooms. Under an hour after the call came in, deputies were escorting students from the front entrance to their designated safe zone at the football field. Being able to coordinate this was something Sheriff Rountree praised both at the school board meeting today and at Josie High School this afternoon.
Well, we know, like in national narrative, this is the worst nightmare for parents. We appreciate their support, the fact that some came to school, but some followed our instructions by going to a designated site, and that's what we try to tell our parents of all our schools. Be familiar with the unification process in case of any emergency at your school. Know where to go so you don't get frustrated, you don't get caught up in traffic.
And the sheriff said that the shooter is still on the loose as part of the community and that they do need to turn themselves in. They're potentially being harbored by friends or family in the surrounding area nearby.
All right, thanks for keeping us updated with that, Craig. Just a chaotic scene earlier this morning from Josie High School. And Augusta Mayor Garnett Johnson also addressing the shooting, saying he is saddened by the increased violence in our community. He says that we need to create safe havens for our children, including expanding after-school programs. He goes on to say, quote, "We are calling for volunteers that are willing to roll up their sleeves and help." He says that could be transporting students, tutoring, or participating in membership opportunities.
As far as tomorrow goes, the school district says they are meeting to figure out what to do next. We are also making calls to find out more information about the suspected shooter. Of course, we will bring you all of that information right here on air and online as soon as we get it.
Weather-wise today, we have seen some relief from the intense heat and humidity you can see across the southeast. Many spots across Mississippi, Alabama, and even up towards Atlanta. They're currently feeling like the mid and low 80s out there this afternoon. We're still hanging on to a little humidity here in Augusta, feeling like the mid 90s right now, but luckily we're not feeling like 110 like we felt over the last couple of days. So a little relief, all thanks to a cold front that is draped right across the CSRA. So this is basically what's separating cooler, less humid air on the east side or on the west side side of the front, and then on the east side, we're still dealing with storms, humid, and hot conditions. And we actually are tracking a few active showers and storms across some of our eastern counties. So from Sylvania all the way through Allendale into Bamberg County, we are looking at these scattered showers and thunderstorms that are moving from the southwest towards the northeast. Right now, they're staying away from us here in Augusta, but there is a complex of storms off the coast that could just kind of push some rain-cooled air towards us and maybe bring us a stray shower storm as we head past sunset tonight. So not ruling out a stray shower storm up until around midnight tonight. Have a look at some even cooler temperatures heading our way coming up in that full forecast. But let's get a quick update now on
First Alert Traffic.
All right, here we go. Looking at I-20 Riverwatch Parkway. Not really noticing too many traffic issues here near the state line, and we have a beautiful day on tap here across Augusta. Feeling a little bit better for us, and looks like traffic, no major issues there in Richmond County, and Columbia County looks okay. Lewiston Road actually looking pretty deserted right now. Unusual for this time of day, but just the usual backup off the exit. Have an update on some even hotter temperatures by the weekend, but some cooler mornings over the next couple coming up in that full forecast.
All right, thanks, Riley. We're learning more about what led up to a helicopter crash in Charleston that sent one man to the hospital. The crash happened back on the 1st of this month at the Charleston International Airport. In a preliminary report, the FAA reports that there was missing and loose bolts in the tail rotor control system. These bolts would have been removed and reinstalled during maintenance less than a day before the crash. The helicopter crashed about 35 minutes into the flight after the pilot reported that the steering was not responsive. The investigation is still ongoing, and the pilot did survive that crash.
2 South Carolina organizations cracking down on illegal dumping in the state, specifically illegal dumping into the state's waterways. Palmetto Pride and South Carolina's Adopt a Stream are working together to monitor local waterways and alert authorities where pollution is higher. And there's a way for you to help as well. You can go to palmettopride.org/litterbugbuster. You're looking live there at that website to find ways to report people littering, as well as to alert the nonprofit to places where illegal dumping is common. Once the group has this information, they can work with local governments to catch these people.
Cool idea there.
Yeah.
Well, wildfires in Maui have killed at least 106 people and forced tens of thousands of residents and tourists to evacuate the island. It's the deadliest wildfire in the U.S. in more than 100 years.
And as the recovery efforts continue, there are more stories coming to light tonight about the connection people in our area have with the island, even thousands of miles away.
Amanda Rose shares with us the story of one woman who says her daughter only escaped with the clothes on her back.
She said, "This can't be good. This is really, really going to be bad."
Words Becky Chapman won't soon forget from her daughter living in Maui just a few hours before the historic town of Lahaina was consumed by deadly wildfires. Chapman tells us her daughter Kelly, her husband, and their 3 pets left in the nick of time, escaping with just the clothes on their backs.
She saw burned bodies as she was leaving already. The smoke was so thick you couldn't see through it.
It wasn't until early the next morning Kelly learned everything she loved was destroyed. The 43-year-old, born and raised in Conyers, losing her home and the sustainable swimwear business she built from scratch when she moved to Maui over a decade ago. Her store and the thousands of dollars in inventory burned to ashes.
You just want them to be okay. And I can't be there, which makes it worse.
Chapman is feeling Kelly's pain from thousands of miles away. She says her daughter's business had already suffered from the pandemic, and Kelly was ashamed she couldn't afford insurance.
I have my faith, which has gotten me through, but I just hurt for her. You know, your mama's heart is broken.
But Kelly isn't in this fight alone. Her best friend in Georgia already raising over $40,000 to help, thanks to the generosity of friends and loved ones in Newton and Rockdale County. And with it is Chapman's hope her daughter will start anew, stronger than ever.
She used to say she was a phoenix. Well, now she could rise from the ashes, and that would make me very happy, and a lot of people happy too.
And the American Red Cross of Georgia says Georgians are among the volunteers on the ground right now. The Red Cross aiming to have a presence there in Maui through March of next year.
Officials warning you, keep your eyes peeled. Be looking for an invasive bug, yuck, spotted in the Peach State. Just ahead, what you need to know. Riley?
Well, temperatures have been below average today, and we do look to continue that over the next couple. We'll have a full forecast coming up.
Make this the summer event in Waynesboro. Just $359 a month to lease a Ram Bighorn Quad Cab. $359.
Choose the exact vehicle you want, and we'll deliver it within 500 miles.
Good to go. Waynesboro.com.
This just in live at 5. The Richmond County Sheriff's Office looking for this man. He's wanted in an armed robbery. It happened last night around 11 at the BP station on Mike Paget Highway. The suspect you can't really see too well, but this is the best that they've got. He was last seen running behind the store. If you know anything about this man or what happened, please call the sheriff's office.
A scary situation in the Midlands following some storms last night. In Forest Acres, a tree fell on a small SUV, narrowly missing a mother and her 8-month-old baby inside. Police say they were both taken to the hospital with minor injuries.
In Savannah, heavy winds tossed large pieces of scaffolding onto cars parked at a nearby hotel. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, but as you can see, those cars are quite damaged.
And just some crazy weather here as we go to First Alert Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale. And Riley, we've seen some storms move through our area throughout this afternoon as well already.
Yeah, across the eastern CSRA, we've seen some good storms move through across Allendale, Bamberg, Screven County, and that's currently where that rain is staying at the moment. But some of it could push a little bit closer towards us here in the central CSRA later this evening and tonight. Right now, fairly nice view looking at the Savannah River, Greenway Trail, and temperatures here in Augusta actually staying in the 80s today. Not too bad out there. Feel like temperatures just a little bit hotter than that 86, feeling like 92. So still some humidity, but luckily just nothing like what we've seen over the past couple of days. Now here's a look at our radar network. So a decent storm traveling across 301, so right there over the Sandbar Ferry Bridge into Allendale County. And these storms are not currently producing any severe weather, but they are producing some heavy rain and some lightning, and possibly some gusts up to about 40 miles an hour can't be ruled out with these. Now, right now here in Augusta, anywhere across the other portions of the CSRA, we are currently dry. What's happening, though, is we are looking at some storms offshore that's pushing rain-cooled air further inland, so it could be enough to maybe just set off a few isolated showers and storms as we do get even past sunset. Here's the way it's looking on our in-house model. So this is kind of a snapshot of what's expected by 6 o'clock, and then once we get closer to midnight, you can see that outflow from those storms just kind of pushes closer to I-20, and this is where we just cannot rule out maybe there is an isolated storm for a few communities as we head towards midnight. But by daybreak tomorrow morning, we're going to wake up with dry weather, temperatures near 70 for most spots. We're going to hang on to temps most likely in the low 90s for us again here in Augusta, but the further west you go, you could stay in the 80s all day long. The chance for storms is going to stay closer to I-95, so I'd imagine if you do live closer to I-95 rather than I-20, you have those chance for a few showers and storms out there tomorrow afternoon. This is what we're looking forward to. By Friday morning, we are expecting to see the coolest temperatures we've seen in close to a month, most likely waking up in the mid and upper 60s across the board early Friday morning. So a beautiful start out there. Later into our Friday afternoon, expecting to hold on to dry weather, temps anywhere from the upper 80s in the western CSRA to most likely up to around the mid 90s for us here in town. Rain chances are going to remain pretty low all the way through the weekend, and we should be able to see low temps back down to the 60s waking up early Saturday. As we roll late into the weekend, early next week, that humidity just gradually kind of makes its way back into the area. But what's going to happen next week is that we're actually going to see a pretty big upper level ridge form across the eastern U.S. Here's our setup right now. So we have a little troughing over the eastern U.S. That's what's bringing us those temperatures a little bit cooler than what we've seen over the past couple of days. As we roll into next week, though, this upper level ridge will be building across the central and eastern portions of the country, and this is going to bring back those temperatures, unfortunately, back above average for us. This is our outlook moving forward to the 6 to 10 day outlook. So next week, looks like most of the country will be dealing with temperatures back warmer than average. So a heads up, enjoy these temperatures while they do last over the next couple of days. Overall, not many storms in our forecast, so for the next 7, looking to stay mostly sunny for both days this weekend.
All right, thanks, Riley. Officials in Georgia want you to be on the lookout for an invasive insect spotted in the U.S. for the first time.
Ooh, I don't like any insects. Adam Murphy breaks down what you need to know.
This is a significant threat to Georgia agriculture.
At the Georgia Department of Agriculture, all the buzz is about this. The yellow-legged hornet, a beekeeper, spotted 2 of them in Savannah and immediately notified the state. This is the first time they've been seen in the United States, according to Commissioner Tyler Harper.
If allowed to establish in the state of Georgia and the United States, this pest could threaten honeybee production, native pollinators, and the agricultural industry in the state of Georgia.
Agriculture is the state's #1 industry, contributing $75 billion to Georgia's economic engine annually. The yellow-legged hornet is native to subtropical regions in Southeast Asia, and therefore a threat to farms producing various crops around the state.
Its nickname is the bee hawk, for good reason. They're very agile. They can swoop down and capture honeybees in air and from the front of their hives.
Entomologists at the University of Georgia say there is no serious threat to humans, but they still don't know how these hornets got here.
If a colony is discovered through trapping, tracking, or reporting, it will be eradicated.
Officials stress that these pests are not northern giant hornets, which made news a couple of years back, and the yellow-legged hornet's nests are often found in trees.
These hornets can be dangerous, and we urge Georgians to use caution if they encounter a suspected yellow-legged hornet, and take photographs from a safe distance, as those photographs can help us confirm the identity.
Well, scientists are tracking a toxin in freshwater fish. Next, what they're looking for and why it's an immediate concern.
First alert right
now. Researchers are quite literally fishing for answers. They're trying to find out just how much contamination waterways have from a cancer-causing toxin known as the Wrdw chemical.
Andy Parati went out with a group looking to see how much the chemical PFAS is found in freshwater fish, a concern for both wildlife and people.
Damon Mullis cruises on the South Georgia River in search of fish deep below.
Probably 20, 25 foot, in some areas would be the deepest.
About 25 miles from the coast on the Ogeechee River in Savannah, passing sunbathing reptiles, waterfowl, and swamplands along the way.
What kind of fish are we looking for? Red breast sunfish is what we're targeting.
And it doesn't take long.
Oh, you got one.
For us to make our first catch.
That's what we're looking for, red breast.
The plan isn't to eat the fish, but to test them for a cancer-causing toxin called perfluoroalkyl, or PFAS for short, used by manufacturers for decades to make products water and oil resistant, like nonstick cookware, carpet, and food packaging. Scientists call it the Wrdw chemical because it does not break down naturally. Last year, a study by the Waterkeeper Alliance discovered the chemical in the Ogeechee River and other rivers in Georgia, including the Chattahoochee. The Ogeechee is the site of the largest fish kill in the state's history, caused by water discharges from a now closed textile plant upstream.
So, we put these chemicals out in the environment, not really understanding their impacts on the ecology of our systems, but also their impact on human health. And then once they're out there, they make their ways into our body, whether we eat fish or not. There we go.
To measure the impact, the executive director of the Ogeechee Riverkeepers partnered with Georgia Southern University to test the fish for PFAS here at its lab. Each one caught, measured, weighed, and its GPS location recorded. The bigger the fish, the better for testing.
So the longer an animal's live, the higher up on the food chain, generally the more contaminated they're going to be with PFAS.
It's not just the Ogeechee River potentially contaminated. A study released by the Environmental Working Group earlier this year discovered elevated levels of the chemical in fish from coast to coast. The samples collected by the Environmental Protection Agency discovered PFAS in freshwater fish 280 times higher than commercially raised fish.
To put in perspective, the Environmental Working Group estimates eating just one freshwater fish a year
could be equal to drinking a month's worth of water laced with the forever chemical.
What's happening here is happening all throughout the country. Not doing anything, ignoring it, is not going to help.
For the weekend forecast, if you are heading out, we're looking at temperatures to be a little bit warmer for us, mid-90s both afternoons, but luckily staying dry if you are hitting the lake or the river. And make sure you are reading those signs at the boat ramps because we do have some regulations about type of fish you can eat around here. Have another look at the forecast for you just after the break.
Will the grades go up?
You know, you've got it pretty good. Streaming this much stuff was never this easy. Yes! Nice eye thingies.
They're collagen boosters.
Get internet on the Xfinity 10G network made for streaming for $30 a month for 12 months and add Now TV for $20. It's the best value in live TV and streaming.
You guys like this show too?
Yes, chef! Get way more into what you're into when you stream on the Xfinity 10G network.
I worked with my...
We're taking a live look over Myrtle Beach, courtesy of EarthCam. In those waters, new fossils are now uncovered.
Yeah, they were found during a particularly low tide in Horry County. These fossils are estimated to be up to 100,000 years old. A local expert says remains like these are often under the feet of beachgoers, hiding under a layer of sand.
Much like the shark's teeth that you can find at Myrtle Beach as well.
Yeah.
But scientists are working to learn more about these fossils recently uncovered. Again, they don't know what they are yet, still trying to figure it out. Pretty cool stuff. I'm sure a lot of us have been in Myrtle Beach, had no idea.
Yeah, be careful where you're stepping. You can find a lot of sand dollars there too.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure that probably wouldn't feel too great stepping on that. That kind of looks like an oyster rake almost. But, yeah, pretty cool stuff. I'll never know what you're going to find underneath that sand there on the beach. Hey, we did have a much nicer afternoon for us. This has been our heat index so far today in Augusta. Our highest heat index has only been 95. If you compare this to yesterday and the day before, we were up to 110 here in Augusta over the last couple of days. So feeling much better outside. We're starting to drop our humidity some, and temperatures definitely not as bad as what they've been. There are a few showers and storms in our eastern counties that is pushing outflow a little bit further inland, so cannot rule out an isolated shower storm that will stick across the CS area until at least sunset, maybe even a couple of hours after that. Now, over the next several days, though, it does look mostly dry. Temperatures will stay a little bit below average for Thursday, and then waking up Friday and Saturday morning in the 60s should feel great for us. But then into the weekend, that humidity does make a return. Stick with us. We're going to have much more on Live at 5 after the break.